Okay, so it's Monday, August 16th, and this is the first day I've had the truck. I'm going to cover several issues with it here today. So let me just get to it. There's more issues than what I'm going to show today, but I'm trying to get the big ones out first. So here's the truck, and what I'm going to show you is what the display shows. Okay, so I'm ready to start it. Here goes the start. Okay, there it is running. Right front turn signal out. Okay, parking brake engaged, that's fine. High beam headlight out, and it's showing the right side there. Parking light out. Okay, so now I'm going to turn my turn signal on. You can hear it fast blinking there because it's not working properly. So there's no turn signal there. This is the correct way. So that front headlight has got problems. Okay, now what I'm going to show you next is these different positions on four-wheel drive. So it's in two-wheel drive right now. Normally what would happen is as you go to these different positions, the dash lights up and it says like 1 moment please, shift in progress. And you're supposed to be able to move these while you're underway, so they can be changed anytime. But none of it works at all. So I'm going to show you that now. So I put it here. Nothing happens. Here, nothing happens. So this time I'm going to do the same switches, but I'm going to show you the display. So I'm going to go four-wheel drive lock and then four-wheel drive low. Okay, so here's the display. Okay, I'm switching it to four-wheel drive lock, and normally it would light up and say shift in progress, and you'd hear the transfer case make some noise and the lights would come on over here and it would complete the shift. So now I'm going to do the same thing to go to four-wheel drive low, and nothing happens. So that's not working. And neither is this neutral. So this whole thing is just not working. And the problems with the rear end and axle and differential and everything continue from here. So with the four-wheel drive not operational, and then when you drive it down the highway or around town anywhere, there's this really bad vibration that comes from the drivetrain. I didn't think it had anything to do with tires, but this one tire slid all the way around 180 degrees. I'm assuming these tires haven't been rotated, but these are very new Michelin Defenders. And then this is a new wheel and a new tire that was put on by Joe Hudson. So the reason I'm explaining all that is to say that there's probably a very low probability that vibration is because of the tires and the wheels. So in my mind, the vibration was coming from the drivetrain. And when I say drivetrain, I mean like, there's a rear drive shaft, there's a rear axle, there's the four-wheel drive axles that go to each front wheel, and then there's a transfer case, and then there's a drive shaft that goes up to the from the transfer case to the front, kind of like a differential in the front that goes to each front wheel. So, you know, there's several rotating parts in there that is what I felt like where the vibration was coming from. And since it's a manual transmission vehicle, you can put it in neutral and let the clutch out and roll and that kind of thing. And it just happens all the time. As long as you're moving, the vibration is there, and it makes kind of a loud noise. The noise sounds like if you had real aggressive tread tires, like, you know, like Monster Mutter tires or something. You're going down the highway and it makes that noise on the road. And these Michelin Defenders ride so quiet and just you can't even tell. So there's obviously something wrong with the rolling chassis. So I didn't drive the vehicle except for about an hour on Saturday morning. I noticed the issue on the way home from Joe Hudson, and then drove it Saturday morning, and I wanted to run it on the highway, and so I drove it about an hour and a half at 75 miles an hour to see if the loud vibration noise stayed the same or went away. And it stayed the same, and so I didn't know what to do then, and obviously it's not right, and it doesn't feel safe, like it's wearing properly. So I got down here and I looked, and I noticed fluid on the wheel spinning out, and you can see the rim is dirty there. So I noticed that, and I thought, oh wow, the brakes weren't done right and they're leaking, so my brakes are probably going to quit working at some point when they lose prime. And so I really just didn't drive it. And I knew that the way to check on this would be to get an alignment to make sure everything's in a line, and then I was going to take it to get rotate and balance. So that way, if I know it's in alignment and I know it's rotate and balance, then if the vibration is still there, it's got to be drivetrain, and nobody's going to be able to blame it on other stuff like tires and alignment. So I went to an alignment shop, a very reputable alignment shop here in Pensacola, and they found issues, and that's where this video will pick up. Yeah. Yeah. Say that again, so I make sure what you said. Yeah, that's it. Rear end. Yeah. That's the roaring noise that we hear, and it's coming from the rear end. That's what we hear going down the road. It could have corrected that. Yeah. So the alignment looks good. We'll leave the steering wheel, deal with this, and come back.
It's a little out of center. It's a little out of center.
What is out of center?
More up to the front. You see a little bit in that shaft. Over there, it's not like that truck over there. That's tight.
It should be a little looser.
Yeah, like this.
Yeah, that's tight.
Now you done moving that?
Oh yeah. Let me try that.
Yeah. That bearing there is severe bind, but there it also.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm having a really
severe bind. Yeah.
Really push severe bind, and then over here. It moves real easy. Oh yeah, very, very different. Okay, well, I mean, that's perfect. I mean, what we did is figure out that there's a big issue.
With a complete rear end, but I wouldn't rule out something in that transmission,
Also, and
especially with it not going in the rear end. Ain't got nothing to do with it not going in and out of four-wheel drive.
right. Okay, well, I mean, I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna put a straight edge here to show you how far off.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
And this ain't a perfect guideline. I could probably hang a laser on it. I'll have to have more. No, you're fine, Rob. See the extenuation of where that would hit that front tire?
Yes, it's way
Yep.
off. It's
Okay. Now we're gonna go to the other side.
okay.
You don't lie.
No, it doesn't. On this side,
See any difference?
Yeah, it goes right up to where it should.
Firestone said it was all good. A good year, whoever was.
Yep, I see it. That's obvious, and it's substantial, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hear it knocking. Yeah, you can see this axle here
Yeah.
is bent. See how that caliper's moving in and out?
Yeah, I do. Let me. I hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, mostly on this side is mostly tire as far as the wobble goes, and the slight on the other side definitely axle. You got a complete rear end hook. That hook is really hard. I did that. That's what I would do. Yeah. See any of that? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is mainly tire, and the other side.
Yeah, it's more tire on this side. There is a slight in the wheel, but it's mostly in the tire. But the other side, obviously, in that axle, you gotta say you can see that.
Yeah, that rotor, that caliper moving. Yep. Well, you know,
Not really.
this one could have a flat spot.
Pretty round. A little out of round, but not really a major flat spot.
Okay.
I mean, it's more of a wobble that side.
Okay.
Yeah, I really don't see it too far the flat side.
A little bit of tire. I mean, there's a weird noise. Yeah. If you can see the cow. Okay, this document is hard to see, so I'm just going to read it to you from Bond Alignment. It says, description of work. Inspect frame front to rear. Check alignment front and rear. Front align good. Found rear axle housing bent. It is towed in 1 1/4 inches. Right rear axle is also bent and leaking differential oil and binding. Need new axle housing and axle. Drive shaft at transmission also slightly out of round. Customer paid $120 for diagnostic and estimate fee. That's all it says there. I'm going to say a couple other things to add into this. He said inspected frame front to rear. That's true. Check alignment front and rear. Front align good. That is true, but the steering wheel is, you have to hold it over at like 1030 to go straight. And ultimately, he said the front was properly in alignment, but the steering wheel was not centered. And because the right rear axle is messed up, that there's no reason to adjust that at this time, because once that is repaired, it could correct the steering wheel. So, you know, when I had this work done, we did not align the steering wheel to be straight up and down at 12 o'clock because it's messed up. The right rear is messed up. So there's an outstanding issue here once we get this all fixed, that the steering wheel might not be running it straight up and down at 12 o'clock. And he says, found rear axle housing bent. It is towed in 1¼ inches on the right rear axle, also bent and leaking differential oil and binding. So the binding is the part where the right rear tire is not rotating freely, and the left rear tire or wheel is rotating freely, and that's what that friction noise is, that vibration. Need new axle housing and axle. Now this one's a big one. He says the drive shaft at transmission is also slightly out of round. Now, you know, what he said is that is not necessarily just the drive shaft. The transmission could be out of round also. So this repair could be that the transmission needs to be replaced. You know, what he said is that the only thing you can do is put a new drive shaft in it and then look at it again. But it's very possible that it would be, you know, I mean, that could either fix it or it would still be out of a line. It'd be out of round or not centered. You know, the impact that this thing took on that right rear axle could have bent the shaft on the transmission. And he says in the video, you know, that, you know, we can't just all sit here and think that if you replace the drive shaft going into the transmission, it's going to be fixed. That is still to be determined. So that's it for now.